going, y'all? This your boy Gibbons here.
And Will C.
And welcome to yet another episode of the Acromas Podcast, episode 36. That is right. We've been doing this 36 weeks straight. And if this is your first time, welcome to the Acromas Podcast. You hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, you hit that notification bell. So the next time a new episode from the Acromas Podcast comes out, you will be one of the first people to watch it. And most of all,
it's free. I'm not even gonna waste your time this week, guys. It's free. Make sure to do all those things Jay just told you what to do. Please subscribe, hit that like button and notifications so you get all the notifications first. And you're the first ones to get those gems. And then be sure to go share it with your friends, family, loved ones, anyone that you feel as though that could benefit from this. Please spread the word. We need that, guys. So Let's get that out there. And again, it's free to do so.
God, unbelievable. Look, we had a great episode last week. Our boy Kevo, the actor, Kevin Saunders stepped in to the Acromas Podcast, chopped it up with us, really told us how he came from the DMV, went down to Atlanta, Georgia to follow his dreams. Let me tell you, man, he is a dream chaser. I enjoyed that episode. I went back and listened to it because I had to write down gems for myself. There are a lot of things that were in there, a lot of clips that we still need to mash up and put out there for you guys to see. But episode 35, if you did not get a chance to see it, go watch that after you finish watching this. It is an episode you don't want to miss. If you are an up-and-coming actor, if you are an entrepreneur or a wantrepreneur, or even if you're a working man or woman, that is an episode you want to watch, because I know we all have dreams and it is never too late to start them. It's never too late to chase them. Go after what you believe you are owed.
Absolutely. I agree completely, Jay. It was definitely a wonderful experience having you on, Kev. Appreciate you. So many gems was dropped, like loose change, and just trying to pick them up, just trying to hold on tight to them. So I definitely went back and I watched the episode a couple of times just to take some notes, and, personal development, because this is what we do. This is what we're about. This is about the growth for yourself, the individual. It's all about you. So we definitely want you to go back. If you haven't had a chance to watch that episode, we'll be here. We'll be waiting for you. Go check it out. And then come back and let's get into this one.
Yeah. And look, it's not going to take you 21 days to watch an episode, but I will tell you what will take 21 days. You absolutely changing your life for the better. Completely changing, altering. Perfect example right here. Completely change your life in 21 days. The 21-3 method. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting to the end of the creation of this program. January 1st, 2022. It will be in your email. It'll be in your Amazon cart. It'll be wherever you can find an ebook or a book in general. You will be able to read the 21-3 method. It is a method that I got to tell you, it literally changed this man's life. Again, if you've been to Cam Coolbreeze _87,
yes, sir.
If you've been to his page on IG, you could follow his entire journey. All the pictures are still up there from when he started to where he is now. You can see the full transformation. The only way that was possible was through the 21-3 method. So this is something that you need to get. This is something that would help you. It will change your life. And this is something that would literally start a new lifestyle for you. A new lifestyle, a brand new lifestyle, a brand new opportunity to start anew, to really understand your purpose and understand that you truly do matter because you're so damn worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, proof is in the pudding, guys. For those who are on Spotify, the references myself, Will C. It just definitely is a tracking of my story is what I utilize IG for that purpose, just as from inspirational, motivational, just building healthy habits, especially when you aren't your best self. And it's something to be recognized, something that isn't talked about as much on a level that is global, I feel. And, this is something that we do, push here so that people understand the importance of yourself and how to properly love yourself. And when you are doing the work, you will know, and everyone else around you will take notice effortlessly. So for me, just looking at the metamorphosis into where I am now from where I was, I am in essence a newer, better version of myself for me. It may seem different for everyone else, but for myself, I've always been who I am to my core. Right. But like a cocoon, it opened, and what came out was the best parts of me.
Mm.
So the same thing can happen to you if you choose it for you. And loving yourself, taking the steps, and being willing to see the ugly sides of yourself. Fight through that because you know you're worth it, and you believe in you and what you can accomplish, and the best you is yet to come. And the 21-3 method will definitely provide this to you, because again, this isn't something that's just being speculated on or theorized. It's something that has been put to the test emotionally, spiritually, so, all ways. It's been something that's been dug deep, not just from a physical aspect. This has been a complete change in one's being from where you were, not being your best self, and going through the hell necessary to find you. So this is just one stepping stone of that. So please be ready, guys, in January 2022, when the 21-3 method drop. Make sure that you be the first ones to get your hands on it, so it can help motivate you and keep you moving forward in your life.
Absolutely. And I know I mentioned some other websites here, but my God, I forgot to mention one of the most important websites today.
Yes, sir.
theachromastore.com.
Yes.
We are still live. We are still up. And though today, when we're recording, it is the first day of fall.
Yes.
It is still a hot summer. It ain't over yet. If you go to theachromastore.com right now, you go to where that promo code is, where you can type that thing in, and you type in HOTBOD, that is HOTBOD, 20% off of everything in the store.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You get items like this cool case cover that I have no problem showing with everyone.
Beautiful.
Oh man,
beautiful.
Multifaceted in colors too.
It's amazing. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, you're really missing out on how cool this is. But if you are missing out, just type in theachromastore.com. That is theachromastore.com. You can find that case as well as any other cases, talking hoodies, hats, shirts, pants, bottles. The list goes on and on. 20% off if you type in promo code HOTBOD. That is promo code HOTBOD. 20% off of everything in the store.
Absolutely. And please also, when you do make these purchases, DM us, guys. Let us know. Send us a picture with you repping the merchandise. Absolutely. So that we know that we can show everyone, the whole world, the Chromas movement and how we're going, and that it's just a representation of the message of what's behind it, and that you support it and that you believe in it, because you seek change like we do, and you're here to build healthy habits and hold these gems and spread the word to everyone else as well. So please cop that merchandise, guys, and let's wrap the Chromas together.
Absolutely. And I think it's important that we all use our time wisely to do so, right? I think in today's day and age, we talk about assets, we talk about liabilities, but let's stick to some of the assets really quick in life. I would say the Chromas podcast is an asset.
Yes.
I think it continues to grow in value as time goes on. There are going to be people 20, 30 years from now, if YouTube is still around. If not, they can come to the Chromas website and they'll be able to see these videos eventually. But I think that something like this will continue to grow with people because these gems are everlasting. They're evergreen. You can plop this into your life at any point in time and literally take these gems and implement it into your life regardless of the year. So I think this is an asset that is always going to be around. But the one thing I have to talk about, man, there's this asset that it's very valuable. It's unpredictable. It's short. It's some people say it's just a social construct, but we see it through age. We see it through changes in our lives. We can feel it when it's happening. We understand that when we acknowledge this thing, we can then become something different, at least if we decide that we want to take a chance and really follow our dreams or decide to chase our destiny. I'm talking about time. Time is one thing that does not go backwards. Unfortunately, we have not been able to rewind time or pause time, because let me tell you, there's a lot of things I would have done differently. But with time, you're able to learn, you're able to grow, you're able to discover, you're able to become something that you weren't the day before. But there are so many times in life, myself included, that I've wasted time. There's so many things that I could have done in my past that I didn't, because I wasn't able to see the vision. I wasn't able to understand my purpose. So at that particular time, I was just like, man, I think I'll have enough time. I'll do it later. I don't need to worry about it now, because sometime in the future I'll put my time there to get to where I want to be. But the funny thing with time is, man, that thing goes quickly. You snap, and it's 10 years later, and you're sitting there wondering, what in the hell was I thinking? Man, if I can go back, man, if I can do that. But it's very important to not live in regrets. And that's one thing that I'm really starting to learn. There was a time back in college, of course, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, whether you've been in college now, or you graduated, or you're about to go in. There's a time where I could have done a lot more than I ended up doing in one of my classes. And this was a core class. It was an important class for, for my major. And every single day went by, I was more focused on lifting. I was more focused on hanging out with friends, which, again, all of this is not a bad thing, but depending on how you use your time wisely, you could use it more effective with things that matter more at that time than others. And I didn't know that at the time. So there was the final exams were coming up and all that stuff. I had final projects to turn in, and I was completely unprepared. I did not end up doing well in the class. It didn't fail, but that particular project that I think I know I could have done so much better in, it didn't end up going my way. And it was because of the time that I spent doing other things than actually focusing on that particular moment. So looking back on that now, I don't want to say I live in regret, because I think I needed to go through that in order to be able to grow from it.
Right.
But if I were to go forward now, knowing what I knew then, I would be able to prepare myself better. I would be able to focus more on what I needed to do. And most of all, I would not have procrastinated. I'd have been able to split up the task that I needed to perform, so that when I got to the end of the third month, I am also at the end of that project. I'm not just starting where I have to cram everything in and the quality is bad, and I'm going crazy in my mind because I'm losing sleep and all the other classes are suffering. So I think when I was able to understand how I can utilize time better, how I can be more effective in time management, it did help me a lot more. It helped me to get more things done with less time. So I would have to say that being able to understand effective ways to use time management really does help your life and help you to get to where you want to be, versus not really understanding how to manipulate the time that you have.
Agreed. I think it comes down to a thing of like understanding yourself. You have to know yourself enough to recognize how you function, what your strengths are, so that you can properly utilize it in time efficiency. Right. So for example, with me, great sharing this, by the way, Jay. I think it's worth it. Let's definitely mention that because it's something that you learned from. And I would say overall, what I gather from that and what I'll share in a moment is in essence, you never really truly lose time because it's unattainable. It's something that is a constant. However, what you do gain from it is experience. That's so true. With that being said, with me personally and my development, that's something I've learned, and how I adjust the importance of time because of my experiences, right? Where I was at a place in my life previously where, my day-to-day was what it was. I had things that were set to do, at that point in my life, especially when I was married, and just, you have certain obligations and things that are priority, but you find yourself fighting for time for you, where I didn't always effectively do that correctly because I didn't love myself the right way to know how to make that time for me in the process of everything else I was dealing with, right? With work, personal aspirations and things like these, before, like truthfully, and, certain business ventures we had suffered because of it, because I didn't make the time. Rather, there's 24 hours in a day. So like to say, I didn't make the sacrifices necessary. And that had more to do with me, to my truth, ugly truth, that I didn't believe in myself enough for that.
Do you feel like you were just kind of going through the motions and the days were just kind of passing, and that you didn't really realize what was really happening because you were so far into something that wasn't that good for you?
I believe so. I believe I know what you're getting at a little bit. Yeah, I think that was definitely part of it. I tried my best to center the focus around myself in those situations because ultimately they were my choices. But yes, I was I allowed myself, I distracted myself in different ways, which prevented me ultimately from being able to be as efficient as I could with my time. So, let's say you're working, like I'd work back in those days, I was working brutal hours. I was working 12, 13, 14 hours and times, and that's not even counting when I was on the road traveling. Like I'd be home and it wasn't always the best. And then I get home and then you have to adjust to that part of your life. And if you're having complications there, it doesn't always make it easy. And then before you know it, you just have enough time to shower, maybe eat and sleep and do it again. And it got to a point where it was repetitive and redundant in a way where I felt like I was regressing and I wasn't growing as a person. I wasn't growing, and I got to a point where I was just very stagnant in life, and I felt boxed in. And I don't know if you recall, I even had a conversation with you one day, and I put it out there. I was in my garage, and I just was going through my life crisis, and I just could not take it. I just in that moment, I was depleted, and it was because of things like that. And time was a big part of it for different reasons, albeit with whatever that situation was I was dealing with, and then with work, and then different parts of me. And I didn't have a sense of me in that process. So I didn't know how to adjust those things until, I got to a point where it had to be done. So I say that now, where fast forward and in my awakening and how I am and how I function now, a lot of the times I operate within a schedule. So I literally take a calendar on my phone, whatnot, and I have to put time slots of things that are important, so I know what type of time I'm left remaining in the day.
Sure.
And to do that accounts for work, that counts for personal things I need to get done, that counts for me time. Like I was mentioning before we did this, like this week has been a tough week. So I booked out 30 minutes for me to eat breakfast, to make breakfast for myself, something I enjoy, and to enjoy that. And that was my time for what it was worth. So in doing so, ultimately it allowed me to function better, to be more energetic, more happy, loving myself a little bit, so that I can give a better me. So it's those little moments like that may seem small and and something to someone that's like, okay, why do that? But those matter. Those moments matter. They count. Every moment that you get in those instances count, because it does help with your productivity, and it does help with your thought process. So for me, I delegate my time when I can. There are times, of course, when life things happen, you don't always have it that way.
Just gotta roll the punches.
Right. But what I've realized is through my experience, I needed to discipline myself, because for me, I'm a punctual person in most cases. I like to have things set in time, date, and just work around that, because in my life now, post-divorce, post certain responsibilities as a single father, I have limited time. Right. So that's limited time to be able to invest into what we're doing right now with the podcast. Either we're talking in the podcast, or we're focusing on a fitness aspect, or we're focusing on other ventures that we're looking into for future reference. Just different things that require time for these parts of me, even time for myself. I have to stretch that, which is why I did what I did, today, because it's like, it's so important to not lose sight of you in the process of trying to continue self-development and growth, and balance the time that's unattainable, because none of it is promised to us. I put this in projectedly speaking, but everything changes, right? So it's no guarantee that I even get to that. But it allows me to have the discipline on my road, and it works for me to keep me in line, and keep me stable. So I think it's important to recognize those things in those areas where you can balance what you would consider to be productive for yourself in a day's time, 24 hours, outside of, time that you may feel that was wasted, and not really focus on it from a negative perspective, but really it's an experience. Because if you're fortunate enough to get up in the day and to do it again, readjust your tactics, adjust, adapt, evolve. I say that all the time. Focus on those things, and then it's in the process you're making things better for yourself, and it will be reflect through anything that you do. That's like trial and error, and
Right.
you'll get better at it the more you do it. You perfect it, and then it
Mhm.
become a constant with time.
That's very true.
So that's how I
Yeah,
look at it.
I mean, you you mentioned the use of the calendar, and that's, that is my go-to now. It
Mhm.
didn't used to be. I try to keep everything up in the head, and it just after a while it just gets jumbled up. You miss
Yeah.
certain dates, you miss certain calls, you miss certain times. And me utilizing the calendar, as do you, it just helps to organize things better.
Yeah.
Even with the calendar on my iPhone, I'm able to set an alert about an hour or two earlier, depending on what I have to do. If I have to travel a far distance, of course, it'll be much earlier, so I can prepare and leave out at the time where I need to get there a little bit earlier than I need to be there.
Right.
And then, from there, it's like, okay, right. If something does come up, you're able to change your calendar, you're able to maneuver those dates easily, and you are better to have you're able to have a better handle on your life. And I for me at least, I know the calendar is something I swear by.
Yeah,
I
like a
mean,
Bible. I've
yeah.
said that to some folks.
Yeah.
I was like, look, this is like,
Yeah.
I when folks can vouch for like those moments,
Yeah.
I tell them like, look, I need to be able to get an idea as to what we're doing, because I need to be able to look at my calendar and I got to
Yeah.
line it up, because
Yeah.
I can't, the way my life is set up at this moment, it's
Yeah.
harder for me to do things abruptly.
It is.
So it's like
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
folks who may not have responsibilities in certain areas of their
Mhm.
life, like I do, where, like I said, rotation, I have my kids. I'm like, yo, I can't do this. I can't go here. I can't do that because I have priorities. So
Right,
I know,
right.
hopefully you understand it, but like,
Mhm.
this is why for me, I'm like, look, let me plan out something I need to project.
Yeah.
So I have that me time, us time for whatever that needs to be focused on.
Yeah.
And we can enjoy it without it being abrupt or something I gotta, all right, well, let me see when we get closer. I don't personally, that doesn't work well for me. So I've had instances with certain folks where our schedules just don't line up, because I'm like, look, this is how my life is. That's how your life is. I have to understand that, this is what it's going to be for a while.
Yeah.
And that's just that. But you work with what you have, and you develop the tactics that you need so that you can enjoy that part of developing within yourself. Right. So
Absolutely.
yes, that's definitely we, both of us can attest to that being a tool. If you haven't used it quite frequently, give it a try. Give it a test for a week. See what you right now, as you're looking at this episode, think about everything that you have to do this upcoming week that's important. Look on the calendar, put it on there, put it on your phone, like online, and just put it in, just put the time, whatever it is. And I promise you'll see a difference in how it allows you to better manage your time, because it's not something you have to worry about as frequent, and just storing it up here, and it just gets too cluttered. And especially if you're a person that's not as punctual and doesn't have the best memory, such as myself.
Yeah, my memory.
I don't like even to the point. Yeah, we know how it is, man. Like to the point, like this is a personal side of us, right? Where even with texting, right? I'm a horrible texter. I'm terrible at even I try my best to get back to everyone I can to send me DMs and questions and whatnot. But look, and so Jay, but like for me,
definitely,
I have a bad tendency of thinking I sent something, and when I check and I haven't heard back from someone, I never hit send. So it just sits there, and then I'm like, oh crap. And
no, there were times I was like, oh man, my man left me on red.
Yeah, and it's never like that. And I'm like, and then I go back into the conversation. At that point, it gets weird, because I'm like, dang, do I address what that was and be like, my bad? And then, or do I pick this up? And I'm like, yay. So so if you didn't know for sure,
well, there you go.
Yeah, that's it. Never. This is something I struggle with, and I it's a part of me trying to my development. Seriously, in all seriousness, I'm trying to work on that. But it's really because of my time management, and I'm like, it's not intentional, but it's something that I don't want to make to be practical of like letting that happen quite frequently. So my apologies formally to everyone out there that know me personally. I'm sorry, Jay.
It's fine. It's just fine.
But yeah, we know.
Nah, I'm the same way. Look, I am awful with names. I'm sometimes I'm even awful with directions. Like sometimes I see myself at work. Hope my boss isn't listening, but there'll be times I'll be sitting in my office who'll be like, hey Jamal, can you get X, Y, Z and Zeta, Beta, Zeta? I'm like, all right, cool, I got you. The minute he leaves, forgot everything he just told me. Literally everything he just told me. And it's like, yo, do I go and ask him, like, sir, what did you just tell me to do? Like, oh, you mean like 10 seconds ago? Yeah, that. Everything you just said, please say it again. So instead, now what I do is if he comes over, he probably even knows that my memory is not the best now. So as soon as he starts talking, I'm like, all right, let me pull up the little notes joint on my on Windows, right? Let me pull it up. Let me type. Oh, okay, sure. Yep. I'll send that message to him. Okay, yeah, I'll give him a call because the way his memory is sharp. I will say my boss's memory is absolutely impeccable. And when I compare that to mine, I'm like, man, I don't know how you keep this all up here, but I need to keep this all down here or on the computer. So every time he comes by, I literally whip out the note, I type it, and then what I do is I have my own note sheet that sometimes I think I accidentally pulled. I might have pulled it up on this before we started recording, but it's a sheet that literally has every single task I need to do for the next day. So I think one of the strategies, one of those time management strategies that I swear by is setting my schedule for the following day.
Yes.
So it starts off, let's say I go through the day, I'm hitting all my targets. I literally highlight everything I do in green. So I have a number next to it. So number 1, all right, call XYZ. Number 2, send this contract to blah, blah, blah. So I get through all of that, probably up to about 8 to 10 tasks typically is what I can do in a day effectively. Sometimes more depending on any, if I get called into a meeting or anything comes up or anything that's hot I need to put in front of something, I get to that. But once I get to that number 9 or number 10, and all of a sudden I still got 11 to 12 on that day becomes 1 and 2 for the next day. Exactly. Sense. So I would highlight that in yellow. I would put in parentheses, okay, Friday, or okay, Thursday, whatever the next day would be. And then that will become my number 1 and number 2 for the next day. So that for me, setting my schedule before the next day allows me to think, okay, what is going to be priority number 1 the next day? Instead of going into the office and getting distracted by some of the new emails that would pop up for me as soon as I turn on my computer. I'm like, oh, I got to respond to this. Oh, I got to respond to that. Nope. Let me go to my notes. Let me see exactly what I had to do yesterday that I couldn't get done, so that is now my 1 and 2 for the day. Then everything else would come. I don't dig into my emails until I get those tasks done from the day before. Then I start checking my emails. And look, people will be able to wait. You know what I'm saying? Like I know we talk about, days go by quickly and there's 24 hours in a day. As long as you're hitting the targets and hitting the things you are effectively, the people who emailed you, they're probably also bogged down doing something else. So they're not sitting there waiting at their computer, anxiously awaiting that inbox number to increase by 1 to get your message. Just take your time, establish yourself at your desk or wherever you're working, whether it's from home or in the office. Get set, make sure you get your notes up or your schedule up. Hit those things that you didn't hit yesterday and then go into the next day. That for me it's worked wonders for me to be able to still get things done, even though technically I'm starting later in terms of answering emails. So that's something that's really helped me.
And that's phenomenal to hear. So I heard that you've adjusted like your tactics for productivity and time efficiency. You recognize an area that you wanted to strengthen. So you adjusted, adapted, and evolved your method of how you went about it. You adjusted from what you observed from your boss and what was, how he functioned, and recognize, okay, this is something I have to get better at, then you adapted with that method by creating some tools to allow you to be successful in being able to retain that information. And you've been utilizing it to the point to where it's evolved your game and what you do, right? Absolutely. And that works in all forms and in every aspect of life. This has just happened to be from a work perspective. You heard it from that there. You heard it from a personal perspective as well. Albeit same thing with physical, like if we were talking about physical activities or anything like that, even with relationships of all kinds, right? You embrace these things and these tactics so that you can better utilize the time that you've put in effort that you put into something so that it is more productive and efficient, but that ultimately is on you. Right. So where you are. So if you are kind of spiraling all over the place, then everything you touch is spiral too, right? Unless you regroup and consolidate and get yourself right and get your act together and whatever that looks like for you. It's important to stop, assess those things, and then it'll generate the best results. Is what I've learned.
Sure. I mean, look, and the other thing too, like, For me, I would call that my planner, right? So if I were to take, if I were to be taking count here, my number one thing is to set that schedule the day before,
Yes.
Before I get started with the next day. But my second one would be to use some type of planner, or use something that you could utilize throughout the day and make it become flexible. Because even the schedule I have has flexibility, and I don't necessarily delete a task, but I would put, like, let's say, for example, I already have my number 3, but something comes up. I need to make this call because we'll be late for the project or whatever. So that 3 then becomes a 3B. The most important item becomes a 3A. So I'm hitting my 3A, then I'm going to my 3B. That's less important than that one. So for me, I'm adding an element of flexibility, saying, okay, I'll still get this task done, but this one clearly is a little bit more important than this one. So that for me has also helped me with creating time, this little strategy for me to be able to utilize my time effectively. And it turns out that I'm able to get more done in less time, even though I have more tasks, because you're not. The other thing too, eliminate distractions, right? That is the one thing I would say. Especially when it comes to like teleworking. I know a lot of you have been doing telework for the past year or so. I myself have as well. I know you're doing that permanently now.
Yeah.
And for me, at least, when I'm down in the basement, as you can see, it's insulated. It's heavily insulated down here. It's really quiet. So I'm able to just crank it out. I'm able to go. But of course, this little device sometimes comes up. If you're listening to it on Spotify, it's a phone, and I know you know what a phone is, obviously. So whenever that thing goes ping, whenever you get a text or a message, or you just finished a task and you're like, thank God I got that out the way. Let me scroll through IG. Let me scroll through Facebook. Let me see what's going on in the world. And all of a sudden, 45 minutes are gone.
Yeah.
When in that 45 minutes, you could have knocked out another 3 or 4 things easy. So I would say eliminate distractions. If you're at home, that would be a distraction. Maybe if you have family members in the house that may be calling you, or you need to attend to them, that may be a distraction that you can't really avoid. But if it was me, I would try to limit those distractions as much as possible. Though it may be more difficult than some, including yourself as a father, a full-time father. It's difficult to do that because your children always need you.
Yeah.
But if you can, I would tend to those things that you can control. The phone, somebody, Amazon dropping on a package at your door, whatever it is. Make sure that you can control those things, and I think one of the other items I do want to touch on, and I kind of touched on it with the list and the planner that I was talking about, but it would be making sure that those most important items are done first. Again, as I said, with number 1 or the 3A item that I spoke about earlier, it's important to get those done ahead of time, because bad news does not get better with time. So if there's something that you have to tell somebody, if there's a call you need to make to deliver bad news, it'll only get worse with time, I'm telling you. So get it out the way now, get it out in the air, so that all the parties involved can deal with it together. You can understand how to approach it. You'll have more time on the back end to do some trial and error to make sure it's fixed properly. But if you wait too long, all of a sudden now everybody's in panic mode. It's like, oh my God, we got to fix this, and we have no time to do it. How long did you know about this? 4 weeks. 4 weeks, and you're now telling me that? It gets worse. Bad news gets worse with time. Remember that. There's a gem you remember that bad news always gets worse with time.
Yeah, a couple of pointers. Given the topic of this week's episode, just time management and efficiencies of it, you can even utilize. We talked about this before, actually, in the previous episode, where like monitor the time that you're using if you're on your phone. You can actually, it actually tells you. I'm gonna tell you, sometimes I'm like, oh, when I get that Sunday review of the time, I'm like, exactly
you
wait,
spent
what?
44% more time on your phone.
Like,
what?
Oh, that's not good. Was it business related? And then I have to reevaluate. I'm like, all right, let me look at my calendar. And a great honest point that you brought up was about like just making sure that you don't get too distracted in your personal time for yourself. In that regard, while you're supposed to be working and grinding. But So don't get yourself in trouble out there, folks, listening to this. But just being accountable in those moments is what's gonna take for you to recognize and just kind of put a halt to it, to work on bettering you, and then just understanding, like Jay, what you said. Just I think communication as well, and those effective communication, and not just that. The opposite of that, like yin and yang, comprehension. So comprehension is big, and that's a huge thing that I've noticed just in every aspect. We've been centered more around towards work-wise because it's something that's something that you have to be productive in, but just in life. Yeah. So all these things apply to time, and you just want to make sure that you're delivering all of these aspects as best you can. If you're doing what you need to do for you first, then you'll grow in those areas so that you can be better. Because ultimately that's what this is about: time efficiency with the time you have, because none of it is promised, and you really do only have your now. Say that all the time, but that's all you have. So through your now, work on continuing to make a better you as you leave trails of your legacy behind.
Absolutely. I mean, look, this is flesh, right? Under this is bone, there's muscle tissue. That's it. That's all this is. This is a vessel for the soul or the spirit that you see coming out of us right now. Yeah. So you have to be able to understand that our time is limited. Our time is unpredictable. Nobody knows when we won't be here. Use that time wisely. If there's something that you wanted to do in the past, do it now. Do it right now. There's nothing that's stopping you. It's never too late to live your life instead of just existing. You need to get on track, and the best way to do it is to implement these time management strategies in order to make up for the time that you may have lost in the past. Again, it's never too late. Time only moves forward, but as time moves forward, you should also too. You should continue to grow. You should continue to blossom. You should continue to find out why you are here. Continue to make that path towards your destiny in order to fulfill it. Continue to rise to your pinnacle so that at the end of the day, you can say, man, I used my time wisely and I did everything I've always wanted to do in this life. Because that is going to be your story. That is going to be your legacy. You are in charge of that. You were the one who was writing your legacy. So make sure it is worth living. Make sure that life is worth living.
Well said, Jay. Well said. So guys, we've shared this week in this topic, our methods and tools that we have in place that allows us to perfect as much as we can in our time efficiency. Absolutely. And as you can tell, obviously we're not perfect. We don't have this mastered. This is something we're still learning. We've shared certain vulnerabilities, right? Yep, so we're looking forward to you guys. What are some of the strategies you're using out there that has worked for you? Some that you recognize required adapt, adjustment and evolving to get to a new phase in yourself to development. What are the tools that you have that you could share that we didn't share that has been successful that you vouch by, and something that could definitely be helpful to us or to someone else in the Chromas community? We definitely would love to hear it. And I tell you what, if you are able to provide that to us, the best answer that we hear back will be featured on the next episode on the Chromas, and we'll post it on our page as well, guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we always say, this is a community, man. That is what we're trying to build. Sometimes I forget we're trying to build a brand because this is just who we are.
Yes, it is. It really is.
Sharing, we love caring. We love giving out these gems for you to also live a successful life. I got to tell you what, successful people love other successful people.
Very much.
As Kevin said last week, you'll never see a successful person put somebody down. They'll always lift them up because they understand how much it took for them to get to where they are, and they want to see other people flourish as well.
Yes, very true.
So that is why we continue to do this. That is why we're here, because we want to see our community grow. We love to see you grow, and we love to grow with you. Yeah. So will you grow with us every single Sunday? I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we hope for. So continue to stay with us on this journey, continue to grow with us and take these gems. And also please continue to spread the word, spread it out there. Let's not hold this in,
Too good.
Yeah, the same way we have time to scroll and see what we see on pages and whatnot, and send these things out to folks. Let's send these gems out to folks too that may need to see it.
And I mean, look, it's anybody who has Instagram or Facebook or any of these social media sites out there, that these past couple of years have been difficult as hell. I can't. Every time I go on to IG now, I mean, sometimes honestly, I haven't told you, but I've been thinking of just shutting down my personal pages
Well,
because
we've talked about that.
I
for a while.
know
I told you I've been in mid
I remember that.
hiatuses.
It's rough
it's
out there,
hard.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I just refresh with a scroll, I just see somebody getting murdered or somebody's talking this about that person, and there's this fight, and it's all this negativity. So why not spread this?
Yeah.
Why not spread positive energy? Why not spread positive change? Why not spread an idea that a community can build together with healthy habits in order to lead a more fulfilling life? Who does not want to do that? Who doesn't? I know habits themselves are so underrated, but they matter so much in our lives. Our habits literally show what we will be, where we will be going.
Mm-hmm.
So why not implement the healthy habits that allow you to get to where you truly want to be, where you deserve to be, where you need to be? Your destiny needs to be fulfilled. That is why you are breathing today. Don't forget that. You must keep pushing. You must keep growing, and using these time management strategies will help you get there. That's why we do this.
Well said.
That's why we do this. And look, if you're new to this, you probably didn't understand why we did this. 36 episodes in, I know it's a little hard to fathom, but welcome once again. And you have 35 other episodes to catch up on. Take your time. But for those who have been here before and you still don't know the name, you still don't know how to spell that word, I'll help you out.
Tell them, Jay.
ACHROMOUS. You can find us on YouTube. You hit subscribe. My God, what do you hit?
You gotta subscribe.
Subscribe. I can't even say it anymore. I've been saying it for so long, I get tongue-tied. You hit subscribe, you hit that like button, you hit that notification bell, so the next time you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see the Acromas podcast pop up on your feed, and it will be the latest episode for you. We're also on Spotify. We're also on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, and we're even on TikTok. We are everywhere you can hear a podcast, so there's no excuse why you should not be able to hear this episode 36, or all the other 35. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you something, man. Got to tell you something, too.
Break the word. I want to hear. What's the word?
I love music. I love music.
Yeah.
I love to dance. If you see us at a club, come by. In fact, you don't need to come by. We're everywhere. We will go to your club. We will go to your spot. To where you are. You'll go to your room. We'll dance the night away.
Turn up.
We will turn up. We'll turn up the whole spot. Yes. Everybody would just start getting loose. Everybody would start dancing. Everybody would dance around us.
This is very factual, guys. Literally, wherever we go, we go out clubbing and post Acromas and we go party.
Yep.
I assure you, we are a whole vibe. So if you happen to catch us out, if you got places, give us a shout out. Let us know, and we'll be happy to come see where you are. And we're gonna have a good time together.
Absolutely, we will turn up the spot.
Yeah,
and I love music so much. We love music so much.
Yeah,
that our next guest had to be involved in music.
Oh, yeah,
and I gotta tell you what, this artist. What a voice she has on her, huh?
Yes.
What a vocalist.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, look, I am excited to have the very first international guest on the Acromas podcast for episode 37, Miss Ash Hayes. Now, this will be the first time I've been able to see or communicate, besides email, getting to know her a little bit more. Yeah. And this will be the first time that we're having her on the Acromas podcast. Hopefully it won't be the last time, but Ash Hayes will be on the podcast next week. She's a vocalist out in Sweden. I can't wait to have this conversation with her. I can't wait to understand her journey into music, to see what healthy habits she's been able to build in order to get to where she is today.
I'm very excited about it as well. From my interactions with her. She's a wonderful person, funny, very funny person. And honestly, has been a huge supporter of the Acromas movement. It's reached out to me at different times and just monitoring my growth as a person.
That's awesome.
So it's been beautiful, and just looking forward to just having you on, Ash, and just can't wait to get into that realm, especially because we're so passionate about music, as you know. So buddy, can't wait to have you on. Can't wait to have you on.
I'm gonna put on my dancing shoes. I might even wear a fedora. I don't know. I
have my suit and tie.
Yeah, there you go.
My suit and tie.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the Acromas podcast, episode 37, we will have Ash on. We will get busy. We will get jiggy with it. We will learn exactly how music has changed your life.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for that conversation.
Can't wait.
It's going to be dope.
Yeah.
So, Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to enjoy the rest of your week. Again, these are 5 strategies. Look, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You have 5 days. Implement one each day.
Yes.
Why not? Put it into your life. That is why the Acromas community continues to grow, because we make sure that we give you guys action items to take care of in your life. And you can come back to us and tell us exactly how it went for you.
Yeah, we'll be waiting.
Absolutely. So until next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy, J.H. Gibbons.
And we'll see.
Peace.